Shabba's European wife tries to cook Hadzabe style, a hilarious disaster. Today was a big day in the village. Shabba had made an important announcement. Today, my wife will cook for the whole family. The villagers cheered, the children clapped, and the women smiled knowingly. A European woman cooking a Hadzabe meal? This was going to be entertaining. But there was just one small problem. She had never cooked before. Not even once. She grew up in a rich family, where meals were always served in fancy hotels and restaurants. At home, there were chefs, and she never had to touch a pot or light a stove. Now, in the middle of the Hadzabe village, she stood in front of an open fire, completely lost. Step 1, making the fire, or trying to. The Hadzabe women sat around, watching with amusement. Shabba's wife picked up 2 small sticks and began rubbing them together, looking serious. The women burst into laughter. "Not like that," one of them said, shaking her head. She grabbed the sticks and, within seconds, poof! A small flame appeared. Shabba's wife stared in shock. "How did you do that so fast?" Shabba smirked. "Welcome to the real world, my love." She sighed. "Okay, fire is harder than I thought." Step 2, catching a chicken, total chaos. The village had decided to make a chicken stew, so they handed her a live chicken and told her, "Catch it." She held it for 1 second before, flap, flap, flap. The chicken escaped. "Ahhh," she screamed as the bird ran between her legs. The children roared with laughter, clapping and pointing. Shabba shook his head. "My wife, even the chicken knows you don't belong in the kitchen." She chased the chicken around the village, arms flailing, but every time she got close, it dodged her and ran faster. After 5 minutes of pure chaos, an 8-year-old Hadzabe boy casually walked over, grabbed the chicken in one smooth motion, and handed it to her. She was breathless, sweaty, and covered in dust. The boy grinned. "You're welcome." The whole village exploded in laughter again. Step 3, cutting the meat on bone, more like wrestling it. Once the chicken was prepared, it was time to cut the meat. She picked up a large knife and held it awkwardly, staring at the meat like it was going to fight back. Shabba crossed his arms. "Go on, cut it." She jabbed at it gently. Nothing happened. Shabba sighed. "Are you fighting it or cooking it?" She tried again, but the knife slipped. The raw meat flew into the air, landing straight in the dust. The children screamed with laughter, rolling on the ground. Shabba smacked his forehead. "At this rate, we will all starve." Step 4, stirring the pot, disaster. After finally getting the meat into the pot, she was told to stir the stew. Easy, right? Wrong. She grabbed a long wooden spoon and stirred. Too fast. The boiling stew splashed everywhere. "Aie! It's attacking me," she yelled, jumping back. Hot soup dripped from her hair, arms, and dress. "It's attacking me," she yelled, jumping back. Hot soup dripped from her hair, arms, and dress. The villagers howled with laughter. Shabba was laughing so hard he was crying. "My love, the food is not your enemy." Step 5, the final taste test. Finally, after hours of chaos, shouting, and running from chickens, the food was ready. The whole village sat around the fire, waiting to taste the masterpiece. Shabba took the first bite, and his face froze. Silence. The villagers leaned in. Then suddenly, Shabba shouted, "Water! I need water." She had accidentally put 5 times more salt than needed. Shabba's eyes watered, his face turned red, and he reached for a jug, gulping down half of it in one breath. The man patted him on the back, laughing. The women wiped away tears from laughing so hard. Shabba's wife covered her face. "Maybe I should just stick to restaurant food," she mumbled. Shabba pulled her into a hug, still coughing from the salty disaster. "Don't worry, my love, tomorrow, We let the Real cooks handle it. And just like that, the village had one of its funniest nights ever. Shabba's wife's second day in the village, redemption or more chaos? Rolling on the floor laughing fire. After the hilarious cooking disaster of the previous night, the whole village woke up still laughing about Shabba's wife and her battle with fire, chicken, and salty stew. Shabba stretched his arms in the morning sun and turned to his wife, who was still hiding under the blankets. "My love, time to wake up. The village is waiting," he said cheerfully. She groaned. "I don't want to see anyone, they will all laugh at me again." Shabba chuckled. "Oh, they will. But today, you get a second chance. Come, let's make you a true Hadzabe woman." She peeked out. "No cooking today?" Shabba grinned. "No cooking, but something even better." She sighed in relief, until she realized she had just agreed without knowing what it was. That was her first mistake. Lesson 1, Gathering Wild Honey Pot, or Running for Her Life? Shabba led her into the bush, where the Hadzabe men were already preparing to harvest wild honey. "This is easy," Shabba said. "Just climb the tree, take the honeycomb, and don't let the bees catch you." She froze. "Wait. Bees? No one said anything about bees." Before she could run, one of the men had already climbed up the tree, using only his hands and feet. He reached into a hole in the tree, pulled out a huge honeycomb dripping with golden honey, and tossed it down. She stared in amazement. "Wow, that's incredible. Bee. Suddenly, the bees swarmed out, and they were not happy. Shabba's wife screamed. "Run!" She took off sprinting through the bushes, waving her hands wildly. The Hadzabe men? They didn't run. They just stood and laughed. Shabba jogged beside her, still laughing. "My love, the bees can smell your fear." "I smell like fear because I am afraid," she yelled. Finally, the bees left her alone, and she collapsed on the ground, panting. One of the elders walked over, holding a piece of fresh honeycomb. He handed it to her with a smile. "You worked hard. Here, eat." She tasted it and her eyes widened. "This is the best thing I have ever eaten." The village cheered. Lesson 2, Learning to Hunt Bow and Arrow, well. Trying to. After her honey adventure, Shabba decided it was time for his wife to learn the art of hunting. He handed her a Hadzabe bow and arrow. She held it awkwardly. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Shabba grinned. "You see that tree? Imagine it is an antelope. Now, shoot." She pulled back the string, aimed carefully, and let go. The arrow flew straight up into the air, and landed behind her. The whole village exploded in laughter. "My love, the food is supposed to go that way, not back to us." Shabba teased. She tried again. This time, the arrow actually went forward, but it landed far from the target. The young Hadzabe boys, who had been watching, picked up their own bows and hit the target perfectly. She sighed. "Okay, maybe hunting is not my thing." Shabba smirked. "Don't worry, my love. At least you scared the tray."